Thank you very much for the opportunity to present AVZ Minerals. The Monono project is located about 500 kilometres to the north of the capital, Lubumbashi, of the Katanga province. Get these going forward so you've got the usual disclosures. As you can see on the right-hand side there, the share price at the moment is around about 8 cents, market cap of about $150 million, cash at bank 6.5. And we have completed our first resource to produce 260 million tonnes at 1.63% lithium and 840 ppm tin, which has not been included in any of the financial we'll talk about in a minute. Substantial shareholders, management and associates, around about 17%. Dathomir is a local Congolese entity, 12.7%, and then Huayu Cobalt, who operate 2 cobalt mines within the country, have 9.85%. Our resource, as I've said, we're sitting at 260 million tonnes, which fairly promptly hits us as the largest undeveloped resource in the world. And we expect that resource to continue to grow. The resource was calculated on essentially 31 drill holes with assay data, and we are now sitting at about 75 drill holes. We have MSA Associates in South Africa completing a resource as we speak on, I think it's 62 or 63 drill holes. We're expecting a slight increase in the total tonnes, but what we're trying to do with that resource is to increase the measured and indicated categories from 43 million tonnes upwards and 105 million tonnes upwards. So we'll have more to play with in the modelling we do for mining. The licence itself, we have 2 licences around the outside which are 100% owned, and the internal licence 13359 with the main pegmatites we own 60% of as we speak. The main area we've been looking at to start off with is, is that laser not working? The main area we're looking at the moment is down here in Roche d'Or, simply because it had 42 drill holes within the area for the historical tin workings. We've concentrated on that with, as I've said, about 65 drill holes to 72 drill holes completed already. It's 72 drill holes completed. The Kitatolo sector is over about 5.5 kilometres. We're only drilling in the order of 2,000 metres within the resource area. We've historically, the first resource was 900 metres of strike length. So we will be increasing, obviously, our resource category as the deposit tails and thins out. Average thickness around about 250 metres compared to most others. I think they're probably looking at somewhere around about 8 to 14 metres. So we've got very thick deposit, which has given us all of these lovely details that we can give you here of, best intercept of 351 metres. Average intercept grade or highest intercept grade 1.75% lithium. Roche d'Or, as I've said before, we've got the resource there, and you can see the categories there. The red is obviously the measured, the yellow, as it looks like from here, is the indicated, and the blue is the inferred. So we're hoping that those will all be upgraded and extended. You can see the drill holes to the side. We'll be bringing those into the next resource, which I'm hopeful we'll be having released next week. With regards to the quality of the pegmatite that we're seeing, we've only had 2 drill holes put through for initial metallurgical test work, and this was completed by Nagrom Laboratories in Perth. And they're the numbers that we're getting back out for the 3 bad boys that we don't like in the system, which is the fluorine, potassium and the iron oxide, all very low. I think most companies would be very happy to have those. We completed a 2 million tonne per annum scoping study to a category 5 level. That's a 35, plus or minus 35%. And the numbers on those basically were quite outstanding. 1.64 billion tonnes per annum, 1.64 billion US valuation, an MPV 10%. That has increased just recently. We've found a few cost savings, which are on transport, which was our major component. Our transport costs at the bottom there, the fourth up, 221, are now down to $163 a tonne. So that brings our overall cost down below 300 to 296, I think it is. So obviously all of those figures up the top there are changing, they're getting larger. Our interest, 60% interest in the project, is now valued at about 1.04 billion, so we're very happy with that at the moment. Not happy with the share price, but I think all lithium companies at the moment are suffering from this. Coming up shortly, we should have the 5 million tonne and the 10 million tonne per annum scoping studies. That'll happen within the next month. Because the deposit is so large, we're leaning towards somewhere in the middle, so the 2 million tonne is probably just not going to crack it for us. We believe 440,000 tonnes of carbonate is really doing the project an injustice. So we'll look to do the 5 million tonne and 10 million tonne, and then we'll make a choice as to where we're going with the project. As I've said before, we haven't had any of the tin included in this. We've got 220,000 tonnes of tin sitting in the present resource. We should be able to recover a fair portion of that as well through the circuit. So they'll be added to the bottom line as well. Hopefully it'll offset a lot of the costs for the transport. We're also engaged with the government in seeking the 5-year tax-free status that we can get for the concession. We're expecting all of the project economics to improve as we tie down the numbers a bit better than where they are at the moment. Metallurgical test work, we have 5 new drill holes, PQ size core, so large diameter, which are now completed and will be shipped back to Perth for further test work. We will run the usual tests on that for the spodumene concentrate, but also the tin recovery and tantalum. There is some tantalum in the system as well, but not a lot. But historically, we produced a DMS concentrate of 6.3%, and the scoping study, the average was 5.8%. So we've got a fairly good product that sits there, which is very clean. Transport, as I've mentioned previously, was a 62% of our cost. We've managed to reduce that now. So essentially the transport route we're looking at is from Monono's site to Kalemi by road, barge it across the river, or across the lake I should say, to Kigoma in Tanzania, and then we'll put it on flat tracks down to Dar es Salaam by train. We went originally with 20-foot half-height containers. We now see that 2-tonne bulker bags are going to be the best way to transport this. It maximises the use of the train and saves us a considerable amount of money. Moving forward, it's a fairly aggressive plan to put this into production, but we do believe we can make it. It's very simple technology. We have the group who are already working on the 5 and 10 million tonne scoping study will roll over into the definitive feasibility study. Transport route needs to be confirmed. Licensing and permitting, we've already completed environmentals for the first floor, first level, so all of the work we're doing at the moment is permitted. We've got another round which is happening at the moment with another study which should get us to the next level, which will be allowed to dewater the pit that we're looking at. That'll probably take 3 months to be able to complete. And then we'll go into detailed engineering, structures, construction and commissioning of the plant in 2020 Q2. We do have one other resource area that we haven't drilled out completely yet. It's called Carrier de l'Est, and it's almost as big, if not bigger, than Roche d'Or. We've just concentrated on the one for the time being, but we will be tickling that along with some more drilling in the future. We had originally 4 drill rigs on site. We're now down to 2, and they'll be laid up for the Christmas break and then probably back in to drilling next year. Government and community relations, we have excellent relationships with our local governor and the local ministers. They've been very supportive of developing this project and also helping us with development of the infrastructure required to get the product out. The social responsibilities, you can see a fantastic photo of one of our junior geos on site with first day of registration for workers for the site. Obviously we couldn't employ all of them, but just recently we've employed 300 of them to fix up the roads and the water drainage systems. So the roads should be better during the wet season, which is coming on to us. And we've also assisted in some medical opportunities of polio vaccinations for the children, plus supplies for the local hospital, etc. One last opportunity we have here is the Pianamwanga hydro facility. It's only 95 kilometres away from us. It's a defunct facility. Most of the bits and pieces are there, but just needs refurbishing. Even the transmission lines coming back down to Monono are available. About 85% of them are in good order. So it has capacity for 32 megawatts. and up to 64 megawatts if we push it a little bit more with new turbines. So that will form part of our process moving forward. We're looking at re-establishing that facility, and any excess power will go back into the grid for the locals. Very small structure. We've got a lot of people in country. I think we need to stand on that. And that's just an aerial shot showing Roche d'Or at the south there. Flat lands, very easy to get around, and very simple to complete the work that we need to. Lots more news coming through in the next month or so. Thank you very much.